Zohran Mamdani is now the mayor of New York City, and I want to be very clear about where I stand here. This isn't just a historic moment. It's a high-risk political experiment that will either reshape American cities or become a cautionary tale we're still arguing about decades from now. Welcome to Why It's Trending Daily. I'm Hank, and this is where I break down the stories that everyone's suddenly Googling, and I explain to you what really matters. So, Mamdani is 34 years old, a democratic socialist, and now in charge of the largest city economy in the entire country. He ran on freezing rent for nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments, on making buses fast and free, and on delivering universal childcare. It all sounds great, and he was going to fund it all by raising taxes on the city's wealthiest residents. That agenda didn't exactly sneak through. Voters knew exactly what they were getting here, and today that campaign officially became governance. At his swearing in, Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood beside him not just as allies, but as signals. And this wasn't exactly subtle. This was the Democratic Socialist wing of the Democratic Party saying this is the model now. Supporters see this as long overdue. They argue that New York has tried half measures for decades while rent soared, transit degraded, and families ultimately got squeezed. To them, freezing rent and expanding public services isn't radical. In fact, it's corrective. And frankly, I understand that argument. But here's where I think the risk is being a little undersold here. Rent freezes don't just create housing. Free services don't fund themselves. And cities don't get to tax productivity without consequences. These aren't ideological opinions, they're economic constraints. And this is where Mamdani's mayoralty stops being about vision and starts being about execution. Because here's the truth that's getting buried. The mayor of New York does not have unilateral power. Many of Mamdani's biggest promises require approval from the state legislator and the governor. Now that means compromises, delays, and political friction are baked in from day one. So if these policies stall, the question becomes, is that a failure of the vision or of the system? And if they move forward and backfire, well, then who owns the outcome here? That's the decision point, right? This administration will test whether bold, centralized government can solve affordability at scale, or whether it simply shifts costs, risks, and pressure somewhere else. Republicans are already framing Mamdani as proof Democrats have lost the middle, and centrist Democrats are quietly nervous this could hand ammunition back to the right. Progressives see this as the opening shot of a broader realignment, and New York just volunteered to be the case study. Now this matters even if you don't live anywhere near New York City, because if this works, it's not staying local. In fact, it might become the blueprint. And if it fails, it becomes the warning label. This isn't about liking or disliking Zohran Mamdani. No, it's about whether big promises survive contact with reality. Because once voters see the results, good or bad, there's no going back to theory. That's what makes this moment consequential, and that's the part everyone should be watching next. I'm Hank, here to explain the madness so you don't have to. If you want more of this type of content, you know what to do.